What if I told you you can actually achieve what you want by changing your mindset? You don't have to wait for the perfect time or the perfect opportunity because you already have what you need to get you started, and you just need to show up with that confidence, that delusional confidence, to act like you're that person. And you need to act like you're that person before anyone else believes it. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about letting go of your fear, your self-doubt, even acting in spite of that fear and self-doubt, and how to just be delusional, how to show up as your most confident and act from the perspective of your highest self. And of course, there will be timestamps so you can jump around and see what segment speaks to you the best. Hi guys, it's Princess. Welcome back to Inspire That podcast. I'm so happy to be here. I hope we're all well. I hope you guys watched my last episode. If you didn't, you can always check it out after this episode, by the way. And this episode, I just want to talk about confidence, because in my last episode, that was the part that stuck to me the most, and that was the part that I didn't really speak on. So I felt the need to come here and speak on it. And not just confidence, because I have spoken about confidence, I think like twice already on this podcast on Spotify. And I just want to talk about delusional confidence, because I definitely see those people where they just look like they have everything and they act like they have everything. And I'm like, you know what, that is such a nicer place to be in rather than living in fear and living in self-doubt. Because why not? Like, when you think of it, it's like, why can't I just be delusional and just act like everything is going to work out, because everything is in fact going to work out. But you know, it's just easier. Like, you would be happier, I would be happier when I'm acting from a place of security instead of from a place of fear. And delusional confidence to me is just being confident without external validation or proof. Like, no one has to tell me, Princess, you're good at this, or I don't have to see that I'm good at this at first, because when you're starting out something, you're definitely like not going to see any result or proof like in the first few sessions of starting it out. So embodying that delusional confidence energy is just like going through life knowing, not just thinking, but definitely knowing that there's nothing that's going to stop me from achieving what I want to achieve for myself. And that is, like I said, it's such a beautiful, more peaceful place to live in. What I say is a more peaceful place to live in is because most people wait for external validation. They wait for that proof. They wait for someone else to come and tell them something about themselves before they get that go ahead to do what they feel like doing or to do what they truly desire the most. And you know what? That's just letting things out of your control. Because when you act from that inner confidence, things are in your control. You get to call the shots. You get to say when you're going to do certain things instead of waiting for someone to say, you know what, I think you can actually do it. Because some of us, we want to start something out, right? If our friend or loved one tells us that they don't really think that we can do it, that's going to like shut us down. But at the end of the day, we are the ones that know ourselves the best. And if your heart truly desires something, you should do it. You should have that inner confidence to just get up and go, basically. What mostly holds us from doing this, from getting up and going, is because of that overthinking, like just overthinking in general. And there have been a lot of studies that shows we punish ourselves more in our minds than even in real life, because the things we imagine, the things we fear the most, a good 80% of those things, I think 85 actually, they don't come true. Like, they don't come to pass. And I've realized this, like, even in my personal life. Of course, like, I always think of the worst case scenarios. Like, I'm always so scared because it's like, what's the worst case scenario? What could be out there and stuff like that. But there's no point in thinking about it, because, okay, yes, that's the worst case scenario, but what of the best case scenario? Because I think I've seen something, when you want to like make a move, you think of the worst case scenario and you think of the best case scenario, and then just find that sweet spot in the middle, which is like the most realistic. Even though we're all about delusion in this episode, but like, just think of the most realistic scenario and be like, hey, that's not so bad after all. So overthinking is just a very useless emotion, because you can't add one hair to your head from overthinking. You can't add 1 second to your life from overthinking. And the worst thing about overthinking is that you can't even change the outcome through overthinking. And aside from overthinking, another thing that might hinder us from embodying that delusional confidence is just negative self-talk. Because while we're overthinking, we're just putting ourselves down. We're not saying things to uplift our souls. Because if we're saying things like you're good, you're hardworking, you're smart, you can do this, anything you put your mind to do, you would definitely find a way to sort it out. Our overthinking will spiral into worst case scenario. But then we're overthinking, we're putting ourselves down, we're blaming ourselves, we're putting ourselves in a box, we're putting a limit over our head. We're just talking to ourselves like we would never speak to someone else. And definitely that's not going to make us confident. Like if your inner dialogue are things that don't show yourself love, if your inner dialogue is just basically plain, doesn't uplift your spirit, doesn't motivate or inspire you to keep going throughout your day, you're definitely not going to be confident. Because if you see yourself in a certain way, at some point you would feel like everybody sees me like this. Like if you're going about your day thinking, oh God, this pimple on my forehead is so huge and glaring and everybody's going to see it from like a mile away. Even if nobody can really notice it, because everyone is going about their day. Everyone is thinking about themselves. You've already started your day being not confident. So you can't even show up in the way that you want to because of the things that you've told yourself. So you can always choose to tell yourself a different story. Because most of the time, right, our inner voice is sometimes from what we've heard from other people. Maybe not what other people have told us, but what like this person has told this other person about themselves, and then you internalize it, and then you're like, okay, yes, this is definitely me. This also applies to me, even if no one has told you. And even if someone has told you, you can choose what you want to tell yourself. You can choose what you want to sit in your mind. No one has that control. Another thing that I also think about when topic of delusional confidence comes to my mind is how many opportunities we have let ourselves lose at or not even try because we just feel like we're not up to the task. Like, for example, if we see a great opportunity for something, we look at it and we're like, it's not for me, it's for the other people, it's for the other people that are good at this, for the other smarter people, it's for the other well-to-do people. And then I just thought to myself, I've actually done this quite a number of times where I'm seeing something and I'm like, no, this one is not for me, definitely. And it's just so crazy because why? Because at the end of the day, you lose 100% of the shots you don't take. So why can't we just take those shots? It's easier to just get something done without that crippling fear of the future and just that self limitations that we've put on ourselves. Because when I'm doing, for example, I'm doing this podcast, if I'm always just living in fear, living in doubt, it would be way, way, way harder for me to get up here and record. But I just choose to kill that emotion, even if it still exists sometimes. But I just choose to kill that emotion because it doesn't help me in any way. It doesn't help me get out videos. It doesn't help me do any single thing. So it's just a very, very useless emotion. And that's the first step in just being delusional. Go for those things that you want, not even thinking about the what ifs. And the easiest way to practice this delusional confidence is that when you're faced with something that is so new to you, that you have never experienced before, and that you may not typically feel your most confident self, you can always ask yourself, how would my most confident self show up in this scenario? And if you don't know how your most confident self would show up in this scenario, you can always ask yourself, how would someone that already knows how to do this show up? And even if you don't know how to do it, there's nothing stopping you from showing up like you already can. Because why not? Literally, why not? There's literally nothing stopping you from showing up like your higher self. There's nothing stopping you showing up like you have already achieved that thing which you want. So when you ask yourself, you realize that the person that has achieved all this would not tell themselves that they are not smart enough, or would not tell themselves that they are not good enough, or they are not up to the task. So just ask yourself, what would my higher self do? What would somebody that is great at this thing do? And then just do it. Do it like them. What would someone that knows how to do this, how would they talk to themselves? Would they say the things that they are saying? Would they say the things that you are saying to yourself to themselves? What? Believe in your success, even if there's nothing to show for it yet. The biggest word is yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not where I want to be yet. So believe in your success, believe that you can definitely get there. And that's why it seems delulu, because there is no proof. Basically, there's no proof. Delusional confidence is just you being confident without any proof, which might sound wrong to some people, and it may sound like, even like previous princess might be like, no, you definitely need like some sort of proof to show yourself worthy, like you're not worthy of this yet, you need some proof. But I've come to the realization that the confidence should just be from here. You need to just embody that inner confidence. Another thing you can do is just generally putting yourself out there, because how many opportunities have we lost from not putting ourselves out there, from hiding, from thinking we're not up to the task? So just put yourself out there and see what could happen. With all this being said, preparation is still very, very necessary. You still need to work. You can't just sit in your room all day and be the lulu. Like, we don't do that over here, because at the end of the day, success needs a means to come to you. You still need to go out there. And that means, the means that's going to come to you is from your work. It's definitely not going to fall on your lap. Because if we're falling on people's laps, like, there are people out there that can be definitely more delulu than you. So it's not about who is more delulu. You actually need to put in the work. If you ask me, okay, well, what's the point of putting in the work what's the point of being delulu if I'm still going to work at it? Because if you don't have that confidence in yourself, you may not even be able to put in the work. Because some of us, we are so like, we are not confident in ourselves at all, and we just procrastinate because of that fear. We're not confident in ourselves. We always think, what's the point of even working? But if someone came and told you, I know how everything ends, it was just so good, it was just so sweet, but you still have to like prepare, and you still have to do your own homework, do your own part with like knowing that you will definitely get it. So delusional confidence is just feeling like someone has told you how sweet the story goes and how sweet the story ends, and just acting like it. And the magic that happens when you start embodying this new character is that it definitely reflects back to you, because it's like everything is a mirror. When you choose a new story for yourself, the world sees that and reflects and gives you things that would match that new identity you have set for yourself, which may sound crazy, but it's not. It's like everything is a feedback loop. When you have confidence, you're able to put in the work and you get more results because you put in that work. But when you don't have confidence, you procrastinate, you do sloppy work, you do things without your full heart, and everybody can see that. Everybody can see that you're not confident in who you are, you're not confident with what you're putting out there, and you just don't get the things that you truly desire. But when you show up as, like, I'm sure we can always see people that are so confident, like their aura, their everything, it just, you're like, yes, that is that girl. Like, and we all need to be that girl, because we are that girl. And this episode would not be complete if I don't talk about resilience and navigating setbacks. Because you being delusional and you trying to be confident, it doesn't mean that you would not face some temporary like issues along the way, because it's all part of the journey. All you have to do is just to hold on to your confidence and tell yourself, this is part of the journey. There are literally no ups without downs. Like, literally, if it's just like this, you won't recognize if it's an up or down. It's just there. But when you go through it down, you can truly appreciate the up, even though that seems like I'm your mother telling you to be grateful for everything you have in life. And tell yourself that you're in this for long term and not a short term. Because when you zoom out, you can definitely see that this little rejection or this temporary setback is nothing compared to where you want to be and what you actually want to achieve. And knowing that it's part of the journey is like rejection is redirection. It's pushing me into what is actually meant for me, because you have it at the back of your mind that what's meant for you would definitely not pass you by. And the one I'm trying to teach myself every single day is to detach myself from the result, which is quite crazy, because it's like you want to achieve that big dream, you want to achieve that big goal, but I just have to remove myself from the result and fall in love with the process more. Even if I enjoy the process of me trying to like do certain things, I have to just fall in love with it more and be happy, and just be happy showing up for myself, basically. Like, that should be enough for me, instead of being so tired and focusing on what is the outcome. Because genuinely and truly, if I put my mind on the outcome, that's just way harder, especially as a beginner in certain things. You can't put your mind at the outcome, because you still have that role to play with yourself. And the best and easiest way to build delusional confidence is by surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, or people who are inspiring, people that also embody that confidence for themselves. I love to watch all those after game, post game interviews they do after football matches, even though I'm not a football person. But why I love to watch it is because even like the players of the team that didn't win, when they talk about how the game wins, they never like sulk, or they never just, or I've never seen though, they never like sulk on how things went so bad and they just never want to play again. You can still see how they are confident, they are still positive for the future matches, because this is just one match. There's still so much more that they can do to improve and change how everything goes. So that's what we should also embody. It's also like watching award shows. Why I like watching award shows is because when they are like receiving their award, sometimes they always talk about how at the beginning stages it was like this, and they had to believe in themselves, and even though there were people trying to put them down, they still like believed in themselves, and they still went for the things that they wanted to go for because they believed in themselves. So it's that belief, like there's nothing that should make you believe in yourself, but you still choose to believe in yourself. And there are daily mindset practice that we can always do, because sometimes our brain just isn't wired for success, as I like to put it. Our brain just has that inner dialogue of putting us down, saying negative things to ourselves. So it's our responsibility to rewire our brain and to tell ourselves good things. And we can do that by journaling, like saying positive things about ourselves, the daily affirmations and everything. It's very important to always be grateful, because being grateful or showing gratitude reminds you of where you are, and it lets you know that you were not here yesterday. It shows you of the progress that you have been making, and just being grateful towards yourself. So when you see this progress, you know that if you can accomplish this, then you can keep going and you'll be able to accomplish even much more. And confidence isn't about waiting for someone else to validate you or validate your experience, or something to validate you. It's about giving yourself that freedom to go after what you want, embodying and having that inner confidence, even though there is no proof yet. And that's like the mindset I'm working on this week, to have a not yet mindset. So we all know about like fake it till you make it, but on top of that I want to add do it until you become it. So just keep going after that thing that you want to be, keep going after that thing that you want, that thing that you desire, and very soon you'll become it, and you just have proof enough to now go after future things. So the first step, which is the hardest, just keep going. And that's like the whole recap of this episode. And I'll start like a homework thing. When you're faced with something that you fear, get a pen and paper and ask yourself, is this fear or fact? And just write it down, because paper makes everything clearer. So yeah, that's it for this episode. If you liked it, please comment down below what you liked about this episode, and I would read it, because why not? And if you stayed up until this point, I appreciate you. See you next week, and remember to stay delusional.